In 260 BC, the state of Zhao suffered an unimaginable blow. Not in battle, but in a mass grave, 400,000 men were slaughtered. Their kingdom bled dry, its capital Handan a carcass with Qin, the wolf, at its throat. Changping was not merely a defeat, it was an obliteration. Zhao, once proud, became a hollowed shell. Farmers sold children for meager grain. Handan, starved and defenseless, awaited its doom. The relentless shadow of Qin closed in for the final strike. Welcome back to the History Atlas. Today, we unpack the impossible siege of Handan, a story of betrayal, sacrifice, and a gamble that defied the inevitable. Ancient China was a fractured landscape, a relentless struggle for dominance among 7 great powers: Qin, Zhao, Chu, Wei, Han, Qi, and Yan. Across this contested map, one state relentlessly expanded its borders, swallowing territory with an insatiable hunger. That state was Qin. Forged in iron and law, Qin operated as a pragmatic, ruthlessly efficient war machine. Its legalist reforms had created a centralized, disciplined society, singularly focused on military might and the unification of all under heaven. Zhao, centrally located, had long stood as a formidable barrier, blocking Qin's path east. For decades, it was Qin's primary rival. But in 260 BC, the Battle of Changping utterly destroyed Zhao's power. King Xiao of Zhao made a critical misjudgment, replacing the seasoned general Lian Po with the untested Zhao Kuo. The result was catastrophic. 400,000 Zhao soldiers perished, and with them, the kingdom's strategic reserves and the very spirit of its military. Zhao, once a formidable rival, was now a crippled giant. Its populace suffered deep psychological scars. Remaining forces were depleted and demoralized, facing an existential threat. For Zhao, the future was no longer about victory, but mere survival. With Changping a fresh, bloody memory, Qin wasted no time. General Wang He led a massive army, estimated at 100,000 to 200,000 men, a force vastly outnumbering Handan's depleted defenders. From the west, this torrent of dark armor and banners descended upon Zhao's capital, a city already weakened by famine and the ghosts of its fallen. Handan, strategically vital, once boasted formidable defenses. Now, its walls faced an assault from the age's apex predator. The city gates slammed shut. Outside, only the relentless might of Qin existed. Inside, Prince Pingyuan, King Shaoxung's uncle and a respected statesman, immediately assumed command. His task was unenviable: organize a skeletal force, ration dwindling food supplies, and maintain order amidst a populace gripped by fear. The distant rumble of Qin's siege engines became a chilling rhythm against the city walls, escalating tension. Qin's strategy was brutally direct: sustained assault, an unyielding blockade to sever all lifelines, and a slow, agonizing starvation to break the city from within. Even as the siege began, desperate Zhao envoys had journeyed to the courts of Wei and Chu, their pleas for assistance a desperate gamble against the encroaching darkness. The siege tightened its grip. Qin's grand strategies, however devastating, paled against the grim reality within Handan's walls. Granaries emptied. The marketplace, once bustling, echoed with hunger. Dogs vanished from the streets, then cats. Soon, the unthinkable began. Accounts confirm acts of cannibalism, a testament to absolute desperation. Survival became a daily surrender of dignity for another breath. Thousands lost at Changping meant Handan had few able-bodied men remaining. Walls once defended by trained soldiers now relied on a patchwork force. Civilians, women, even children, were pressed into service, hauling supplies, tending the wounded, or standing watch. Their faces were etched with fear and fatigue. Prince Pingyuan, the city's resolute leader, understood the gravity. He confiscated noble wealth, stripping him of luxuries to fund defense and feed the dwindling populace. He broke up larger families into smaller units to reduce food consumption, a brutal but necessary act. Hoarders, discovered amidst the misery, faced summary execution, a stark warning against self-interest. Yet, even these harsh measures could not stop the creeping despair. Inside Handan, the city was slowly consuming itself, both physically and morally. The iron discipline of the Qin outside was mirrored by an internal collapse, a breaking point where courage met its limit and the human spirit verged on utter defeat. While Handan tore itself apart, its fate hung not on its own courage, but on the cautious self-interest of distant courts. In Wei, King Anli harbored a profound fear of Qin. To openly challenge the victor of Changping meant inviting Qin's wrath upon his own kingdom. Wei deployed General Jin Bai and a sizable army to Zhao's border, but not as saviors. Jin Bai's strict orders were to hold their ground, to not engage Qin. Chu, a powerful state, initially adopted a similar stance. Its king, too, prioritized self-preservation, weighing the risk of aiding Zhao against the certainty of Qin's retaliation. The plight of Handan was a distant tremor, not an immediate threat. Prince Pingyuan, from Handan's beleaguered walls, dispatched envoys. One, Mao Sui, through sheer audacity, managed to sway the king of Chu, securing a promise of aid. But promises in wartime moved with agonizing slowness. Within Wei's court, a voice of moral outrage grew. Xinling Jun, Prince Wuji, a man of immense prestige, watched his brother's indecision with escalating fury. He understood Handan's fall would only accelerate Qin's dominance. His principles clashed violently with his king's cautious pragmatism. The king of Wei believed, to save Zhao is to provoke Qin. Xinling Jun knew, to not save Zhao was to feed it. As Handan's desperate pleas intensified, Prince Xinling Jun of Wei reached his limit. Xiao, a crucial bulwark, faced annihilation. His king, paralyzed by fear of Qin, still withheld aid. Xinling Jun resolved to act, charting a path beyond legality for Handan's salvation. He turned to Ru Ji, the Wei king's favored concubine. Xinling Jun had avenged her father, a debt now critical. Under cover of night, with silent audacity, Ru Ji stole the Tiger Tally, the bronze half-seal granting absolute military command. This act of treason would unleash a roar. Armed with the stolen tally, Xinling Jun rode to General Jin Bai, commander of Wei's 80,000 soldiers. Jin Bai, an honorable officer, refused the illicit order. He knew the tally was stolen, an affront, and demanded a direct royal decree. But Xinling Jun understood. Handan was dying. There was no time for legality, only salvation. With grim resolve, he had General Jin Bai executed. No soldier dared defy him. The Wei army, now under Xinling Jun's absolute, illicit, command, ceased its inaction. Its banners unfurled as 80,000 men immediately marched towards Handan's besieged gates. From Handan's starved battlements, where weeks of siege had etched desperation onto every face, an incredible sight broke the horizon. Not the familiar, ominous banners of Qin, but a distant, vibrant surge of unknown standards, then unmistakably identified, Wei. A collective gasp, long held in suffering, erupted into an exultant roar as Xinling Jun, commanding 80,000 Wei soldiers, launched his audacious assault. They struck the unsuspecting Qin lines with overwhelming force, a sudden, powerful blow that destabilized the besiegers. Simultaneously, or in close coordination, Chunxin Jun's 80,000 Chu troops joined the fray. Their combined might created irresistible pressure. The Qin army, spread out and perhaps complacent after months of tightening its grip, suddenly found itself trapped. From within Handan, the city's emaciated but now emboldened defenders, fueled by the sight of their saviors, burst forth in a desperate sally. A monumental pincer movement, born of desperation and unified courage, began to crush the besiegers. The plains before Handan exploded into violence. The clang of steel, guttural shouts of combatants, and the driving beat of drums filled the air, thick with dust and the acrid scent of battle. Qin's carefully constructed siege works, once symbols of dominance, became chaotic traps. Their disciplined ranks, so formidable against a static defense, fractured under the two-pronged assault. Commanders struggled to assert control over a collapsing front. Morale, a vital shield, shattered under the weight of the unexpected attack and the renewed fury of the besieged. The once invincible Qin army buckled, its cohesion dissolving. It broke. They streamed westward, abandoning their siege, leaving the fields around Handan covered in the grim evidence of a resounding defeat. But how did a city on the brink, facing the apex predator of the age, survive? The Battle of Handan was not merely a clash of armies, it was a battle of wills, and one man's will broke the mold. The primary catalyst for this improbable victory was the audacious leadership of Xinling Jun. His decisive action, fueled by desperation and a profound moral conviction, propelled the Wei army into a forced march towards Handan with unprecedented speed. This swift, unexpected advance created the crucial element of surprise. The Qin besiegers, having maintained their chokehold for months, had perhaps grown complacent, their forces possibly stretched across the vast siege lines. They were psychologically unprepared for a combined, coordinated, and aggressive allied attack, especially one initiated by Wei's own prince defying his king. The morale shift was immediate and profound. For Qin, the sudden appearance of a large relief force, coupled with the ferocity of the assault, shattered their confidence. Their well-drilled logistics and command structure were not designed to contend with such an audacious, internal threat from a supposed ally. For the defenders of Handan, starved and near collapse, the sight of Allied banners ignited a desperate surge of renewed courage, allowing them to coordinate a devastating sally from within the city walls. The turning point was stark. The moment General Jin Bai fell, the fate of Handan shifted. The stolen tally was not just a piece of bronze. It was the key that unlocked Wei's trapped might, unleashing a force that defied conventional military protocol. Xinling Jun's iron will, his willingness to break every rule and sacrifice personal safety for a greater cause, transformed a political stalemate into a military triumph. This victory, therefore, was a testament to courage, desperation, and individual leadership, proving that even against overwhelming odds, the human factor could rewrite history. The dust settled, revealing a landscape of victory and devastation. Victory came at a price, written in blood across the plains outside Handan. The Qin army, broken and demoralized, abandoned the siege entirely. Their forces, once a relentless tide, now receded in disarray, suffering heavy casualties in their hurried, humiliating flight. This marked a significant setback for Qin's relentless drive towards unification, forcing them to regroup and reassess their strategy. Yet, the allied forces of Wei and Chu also paid a heavy toll. Their ranks were thinned by the brutal engagement, and they faced the grim task of counting their own fallen. Xiao, though saved from immediate annihilation, remained a crippled state. Its population was decimated by months of starvation and the final, desperate battle. Handan stood, but the wounds of Changping and the prolonged siege would never truly heal, a stark reminder of its fragile survival. For Xinling Jun, the architect of this impossible rescue, the personal consequences were profound. He could not return to his homeland. Having defied his brother, King Anli of Wei, by stealing the Tiger Tally and executing General Jin Bai, he became a fugitive from his own state. He had saved Handan, but in doing so, he lost his home. A hero in Xiao, where he was celebrated for his courage and foresight, he lived in exile for a decade, forever marked by his audacious act. Meanwhile, Chunshin Jun, the Chu general, returned to his kingdom, his crucial, if delayed, intervention complete. Handan's improbable survival was more than just a military victory. It was a testament to the human spirit pushed to its absolute limit. A defiance against the seemingly inevitable. Had Handan fallen, the map of China would have been redrawn decades earlier, under Qin's iron fist, potentially accelerating the unification process by generations. Instead, this pivotal defense bought precious time, delaying Qin's complete dominance for several decades and offering a temporary reprieve to the remaining states. The triumph at Handan cemented Xinling Jun's reputation as one of the revered four lords of the warring states. His actions demonstrated not only profound strategic brilliance but also an unwavering loyalty and an audacious courage. He was a man who understood that sometimes, honor and salvation demand breaking every rule. The entire episode underscored the inherent fragility of interstate alliances, where fear and self-interest often paralyzed decisive action, yet it simultaneously highlighted the immense power of individual initiative to shatter such stalemates. Qin, in its relentless march towards unification, learned a crucial lesson that day. Even a state weakened by catastrophe, when supported by desperate allies and galvanized by courageous leadership, possessed the capacity to push back against their seemingly inexorable advance. Though Handan's defiance postponed the ultimate unification, it did not prevent it. The empire Qin eventually forged under Qin Shi Huang would one day encompass all the former states, proving Handan was a vital delay, not a permanent halt. The Battle of Handan, therefore, endures as a powerful reflection on the enduring message that even against overwhelming odds, courage and decisive action can fundamentally alter the course of history. What other desperate stands or defiant gambles in history captivate you? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to relive more heroic pages of history, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the History Atlas, and ring that notification bell. Until next time, keep exploring history.
History is alive when we explore it together. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the History Atlas.